You've been enjoying Spacecraft? It's slow but fun. Yeah, no, we played the playtest of Spacecraft and really had a good time, even though the servers were actively dying. But you know, I'm looking forward to doing it's the early access version, so you can actually play now as well. So we're gonna be going ahead and beginning a brand new game, survival mode. I actually like the classic over Spaced Out. It was nice to have Spaced Out for something different, but I like the one big planet, and then you have your little satellite ones versus kind of splitting them more. So with that said, we've got the brand new Aqua Planet and all that good stuff. So that'll all be good. Generally speaking, I like to re-roll until I get Geoactive. I don't really care about any of the other stuff. But I see for like late game, having Geoactive tends to give you a lot more resources. It also slowly cooks your planet and all that, so you have to manage that. So fun. Story traits. Yeah, it's fine. Because I know if you choose 6, it goes, hey man, don't do that. It'll let you, but it warns you that like things can get messed up. Oh, that's interesting. That's unticked. Alright, sure. Yeah, we'll leave all the other ones. That's interesting that you can put a bunch of these here. I've never messed with adding all those, but we'll leave the DLCs on, all of them. We've got our 5 story traits. We left the Ancient Specimen as the only one we left alone. I don't remember this or that. But what we got is we got a brand new water planet here. It's got extra metal. It's geoactive, and it's got small boulders that'll be a pain in the butt to mine through. And we've got nearby swamp asteroid, and then the distant ones we have the tundra, marshy, superconductive, moo, water, and regolith. So we've got all that, and we're gonna go ahead and get that started. And one thing I am going to do is go here, and we're gonna start the queue. So if you would like to have a dupe named after you, what you're gonna do is you're gonna do ! join. And it's kind of first come, first served. Water planet, no longer do you have to distill piss with your water heat. Oh, 1 second. You know what? We got a problem. Hold, please. Hold, please. Command is disabled. All of you have been baited. We did a game the other day that had a Twitch integration that used the exact same command, and it was really upsetting the bot. Alright, so let me do this again. I'm going to hit start queue. Alright, and now you're gonna have to, yeah, there you go. So everyone who did the join before that, well, that going on here. Alright, so this is already something different. So we've got swim uniforms. And instead of having our people like standing, they all look like they're desperately treading water, waiting, awaiting death. And apparently the default name we got was the immune planet, which is certainly not what we're doing. And there is a basic swimming skill. So that's interesting. Alright, so let's just try and have ourselves have... I'm not going to go through a bunch of stuff here. Well, that's the regular duplicate. So I don't know what we actually need for this planet. I do want to make sure we have some variance. So we'll take the first one, we'll re-roll you, because I've already got construction and I've already got machinery. Husbandry 9. As Dive Master 2. I'm kind of seeing what all we got here. Oh, and that's a bionic. Yeah, we'll do the agriculture, because we'll have to see. This planet sounds unfriendly to automations. Yeah. Alright, so we've got a okay balance. I've got someone who's going to be a very solid farmer. I have no idea farming will be relevant at all for us. We have construction. That's always... Oh, wait. You know what we need? We need a digger. Sure. We'll have some digging and doctoring. That should be a good balance. So we got digging and doctoring. They can swim. They apparently have a bonus to agriculture. Will be probably irrelevant. And that they need to use the bathroom more, and if they get upset, they'll destroy things, and if they're happy, they'll put up stickers. We've got someone who's dedicated construction person. I usually combine my construction and excavation person, we won't worry about that. You start with super hard digging at the beginning. That's actually a really good starting character. I didn't notice that till now. So we're going to have super hard digging and construction, so that's going to be right there. Bottomless stomach, so this person's going to need to eat more. That's actually a really awful trait. And then destructive, and they will become super productive if they're overjoyed. And then this person will operate machines and carry stuff. They're kind of a support person. They've got Dive Master, which we don't really know what does yet. Reduces stamina consumption when swimming. Okay. And they are immune to food poisoning, and they can't cook stuff. They binge eat when they're upset, which is also a pretty awful one, and then balloon artists when they're overjoyed. So with that, let's start getting our names. So we're going to have our excavation doctor person, and that is going to be Server Lord. I'm sorry to hear about your irritable bowel syndrome. So I hope that gets better for you, or at least managed. And then we've got our person with the bottomless stomach, which will be Burn and Sun, which I always take a second. It was like burn versus burning. But you're like actually a really good dupe in regards like, yeah, you've got bottomless stomach and that sucks, but super hard digging and construction 7 is very genuinely a really strong starting pawn. Dupe, not pawn. And then for our Dive Master, we've got Wishbringer. And you're immune to food poisoning, and you're going to be stuck running around in circles. And then we've got the name of the colony, which is going to be ONI, but wetter. And that's what we're going with. Alert! This asteroid has suffered extensive flooding. My scans show traces of a previous party of explorers, but only one remains. It's imperative you find and recruit the survivor to my colony. Their adaptations may be the key to plumbing the depths of this waterlogged world. Okay, so let's take a quick, what's going on here? What are you? So we got Corlium, which gives us lime. We've got zinc, which is a metal. We've got a tidal spring, which it says it's going to give me liquid. Highly pressurized liquid, but it doesn't tell me what kind. Consumes liquid? Content saltwater. So it sounds like this pulls in water and then it pushes it back out, maybe? Drawn from its environment? Periodically sprouts highly pressurized liquid drawn from the environment. So it sounds like what this is going to do, and I could be wrong, is it sounds like this has two phases. One where it's going to pull in liquid, and another one where it's going to push it back out. I don't know if that's correct, but we're going to figure that out. We've got a Petapoof, which is decorative. Waterweed is one we've had before. Soda cane is a source of food, salty snacks. A bloater. Critters that produce oxygen after eating leaves. Okay, so there's our natural source of oxygen. We feed it lettuce and waterweed, and it gives us oxygen. That's interesting. So we're going to use fish as our oxygen production. And you here will be processed into latex, which I assume will become plastic. Oh no, you become rubber. Okay, so we can get rubber from the gum trees. We got a research portal up above us. And there's a mini fridge up here. We got a starnacle. Its phosphorate buildup can be consumed by beacons or harvested by duplicants. So it can give me phosphorus naturally. So we can get phosphorus from a plant we can grow. Huh. And we got multiple of these. Yeah, so we got the tidal springs all over the place. There's a rubber gasket. Okay. So. Now you got, you know, good old classic poke shell. So I think what we're going to do is... I'm also noticing... Okay, there's only a little bit of oxalate. There's a little bit here and a little bit there. And a couple of random bits, but there's not much oxalate. But it looks like this fish thing is how we're going to get oxygen. There's also a mussel sprout. Alright, so what I'm thinking here is because we got all this water here, it is drinkable water, that's all salt water. So we got fresh water here, salt water out there. There's not a lot of potable water here. So let's start working by trying to get the water kind of pooled up into one spot. And then hopefully the bloater we can go ahead and we're gonna need to animal husbandry the bloaters as my main oxygen source, which is a weird thing to deal with. You don't breathe in carbon dioxide either, do you? Interesting. So I'm imagining on this one, instead of turning carbon dioxide into oxygen, because I'm also not seeing a good source of algae here anywhere, it almost seems like we're going to use the carbon scrubber to draw the carbon dioxide out, and then at least for the beginning, try and breed up a bunch of these fish as my oxygen source. Okay, well, let's get this party started. I don't have resources yet because we haven't mined anything. Alright, so let's go ahead and we'll start by going and having you go over there. Oh, we should also go to priorities. So you've got a passion for the building, so you'll focus on that. Schedule-wise, I like to set up a bunch of schedules. But I'm going to need to make space for everything. Let's carve all that up. Yeah, the plan is I'm going to try and pull up all of our water down below. And then we're going to need to make ourselves, like, bedrooms, thing. What are the geysers nearby? So these seem to draw in water for one phase, and then release it, or draw in liquids for one phase, and then release it again. So it's like a whole tidal thing. Okay, so meanwhile, we need to... Who needs a bathroom often? That'd be you. Okay, so we're going to need to go in here. Background's cool. Ceiling collapse. I don't... That's fine. Why are the dupes like this? It's so easy to not murder yourself. Okay. So now you won't get stuck. Alright, so we need to continue getting our stuff going. So for the beginning here, this will be where our restroom is, so we'll put the... Alright, it's under medicine? Yeah, wash basin. The wash basin there. Two of those. And then plumbing. We'll do two of those. Okay, and that's salt water, so we won't mine that one out. Because right now, this is all clean water down here. Just gonna keep on tearing this all up. Okay, so we got the bathroom sorted. Now we'll go over here to furniture. Okay. So we're going to continue to work on that. And we'll have to get ourselves a food source. So one other thing we're going to want to do is start carving this up. We do not want to take that water weed and accidentally drain the water to a point that it can't grow. And that's more water up there. But with this, then we should be able to have it where all this goes down below. We will end up needing to clean up water everywhere. I'm just accepting our dupes will be constantly wet for a long time. Okay. And meanwhile, harvest them if you got access to them. Okay, so we're getting our bedroom set up. We're getting our outhouses here set up. And I am trying to expand these rooms enough that we have them qualify as whatever room they are. So that way this will be, I forget, it's like an outhouse or whatever, that'll be considered a dorm room or whatever. And we'll get bonuses appropriately for that. I think for right now, it's going to be let that thing just stay there. We'll poke a little hole here, so that way we get a little bit of flow up here. But we are going to need to effectively make a waterweed thing, and you make lettuce, right? Yeah, and we can use lettuce. I believe they can just eat the lettuce straight up, if I remember correctly. Achievement earned. What do we get the achievement for? Buy out one entire skill tree. One of my people must have started with that. Insufficient water. Okay, so one thing we're going to need to do is pitcher plant. Or not pitcher plant, pitcher. And we got another one done. Have at least one toilet and bed for every dupe. Or for the dupes. Okay, so we can leave that alone for right now. We're not going to dig that up because that's salt water down here. But definitely feels like I'm going to need to deliberately have lots of water. Oh, also it's going to go to schedules, because one thing I like to do is add new schedule, add new schedule. And so what I like to do with the schedules is, so you want 2 hours of downtime, so we'll start with this, so you have bathroom time, bedtime, downtime, work. And then we'll just do the same thing here. And what I'm trying to do with this is just go through and have it so that people aren't all trying to use the restroom at the exact same moment. It's also nice to have the schedules that way, you know, when you're dealing with everything, someone's always working, someone's always, you know, dealing with other stuff. So you don't have all that overlap going on where everyone's trying to flood the bathrooms at the same time. Alright, so everyone's schedules are going to get flipped now, and everyone's going to get mad about it, but that's okay. But that way, when they get up the next day, they'll start all being on their own schedules and all that stuff. Alright, so looking at it, we're getting lots of zinc, we're getting lots of salt. So that'll be a whole thing. I definitely feel like doing a farm of waterweed is going to be huge, and the bloater is going to be an important one. And thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. So when it comes to domesticating, what did you need so far as that? You get irrigated with salt water, but you can survive in any type of water. That's fine. So, okay. We can survive in any, but we will need a source of salt water for irrigation going on there. And then they have a chance of giving me seeds and all that. Alright, so we should also go over here, because I have not been paying attention. Let's get a research station going. Oh, we can put that up here. And that also means we'll need power. We put in a battery and a water wheel. Or not a water wheel. Tuck the cable into the wall so it doesn't have as much of a penalty. I was looking at it. Did you just start? Yes, we did just start. And this will have the added bonus of now I can run across the top to harvest that. Okay, is there anything else we want there? We got the furniture, we got the station. We can worry about the medicine stuff later. Nothing to do with the plumbing right now. Got the microbe masher. Sublimation and oxygen diffuser. Okay. So I think we're going to try and make a big reservoir down here to keep bloaters in, as well as get our lettuce. And we'll want to lock this door open so we don't lose pathing time on it, and same with that one. Okay. Yeah, I've got them all set to auto-harvest these. We'll need to get up this because that'll probably give me technology. And you give me salty sticks, which is food. So I think realistically, once we get up here, we're going to want to carve a path through there. Let's actually go and skip that spot. And carve up here. Is there a... Yeah, that should be fine. It's also possible when we're going through, because we also want to wind this up. We'll wind up on the other side so we don't destroy that plant. To get better airflow up and down. You're salt water, you're fresh water. Okay, so with this now, as the air goes through, it should be able to go up there. You actually have a decent amount here. I'm just being very careful to not deal with that. That's flooding, that's fine. That'll get all sorted out on its own. That is really a bad place for you, isn't it? You excrete sand and you eat polluted dirt. That's another one to potentially deal with, is to have that where our polluted dirt we get out of these is to make that a way of getting sand from there. Yeah, so we want to carve up here for the research, get all that stuff. Okay, so I do have more of those up top if we do decide to kill that thing to get it out of our way. Meanwhile, we don't have the research quite yet. We're still building that station. Alright, so we've got our skills. So just checking what we've got. So yeah, you've already got like the super digging and all that stuff going on. That is your passion, and you also got the doctoring. Burning Sun here already has the better digging in their building. And then you can't cook, but you got a passion for supplying and operating. That's not what I wanted. It was priorities. Storing, supplying. Trapped. We'll just mine that one box. Just mine the one thing. You're like right there. It's fine. Just it's not even like it's a hard block or whatever, it's just a regular old block. It's because it's waiting for the material on the door before it was going to allow them to continue. Oh, dupes. You are so insufferable sometimes. So, this thing is gonna die here. Which I'm pretty okay with, actually. And once we get this room enclosed, I'll clean up the liquid and all that. I don't think there's a well, actually, you're probably fine now. So you can clean up the water here. Clean it up there. And then we'll have that enclosed. Keep buildings from flooding and keep them all working. Yeah, so you're my source of oxygen. You're a source of getting rid of dirty soil, so we don't get a bunch of air pollution. So it looks like we're going to be doing some animal husbandry to get our basic needs met. We've got the mussel sprouts, which are interesting. Okay, so mussel sprouts are a one-time food source. That's fine. But ultimately what I want to do is get the research bench up, and we want to rush the planters. And I think what we're going to want to do is put water weeds down here, since that's irrigated with salt water, as being the thing that it uses as its food source effectively. That shouldn't be very hard, considering there's salt water all over the place here. So we can start working on all that. Oh wait, you put out... No, you put out polluted dirt. And you put out polluted water. Okay. So this should be enclosed enough that if we check our rooms, this now counts as a barracks, so that boosts our morale by 1. Right, and then this would be a latrine. So once this is enclosed, this would count as a latrine, which would give me the bonus there for another morale point, I believe. Let's see. Didn't one of you start with a bunch of agriculture? Machine, strength, agriculture. I got a couple with some basic agriculture. Yeah, so you've got all those. You've got points in doctoring and digging. You've got building. So I've got all the stuff they're good at. I give those two a minor thing for farming. Okay. And we've almost got this all hooked up so we can get some research done. Now, because I don't have a dedicated researcher this time, we're going to probably have to sit there and be like, okay, we're just going to set someone aside and be like, that person's going to be doing the research. It's fine. And our oxygen density's still okay for right now, but that's because the oxalate's dumping out. I am pretty curious about the rate that this thing's going to make oxygen. I have a feeling we're going to need a decent number of those fish. That's fine. Alright. Definitely seems like they got different music this time. So we look at our schedule, we've got our tidying operating person. Did I just delete the schedule? Yes, I did. Okay, and it was the schedule, so we'll go here. Downtime. Sleep. Wait, that's the other way around, isn't it? Okay. Alright. So I've got that all sorted. But yeah, so now those bathrooms can handle, with up to 6 dupes, this will all be fine. So we need to get research set. Alright, do we see any new research that's obvious? Not at a first glance, which is fine. So what I want to do is beeline straight on over here. Which we're not going to get all the way. We'll get to this spot. Well, you're deeply upsetting. So you are cramped. Let's see. If we mine that tile, and those two, okay, you actually put out a pretty good chunk of oxygen. Yeah, so you're getting cramped in there, and if I dig here, it's going to let the water out there. And then you won't have access to your water weed. We don't have much water above it. I do have you up here, though. There's a chance when I dig that out, we could plunk it down into this area. We'll have to get that all sorted. But yeah, that put out 7.5 kilograms of oxygen. That's honestly a pretty good chunk. Okay, and we just released all that. Okay, so we're just gonna let them finish building what's building, then I need to get them on the research. So that should gradually get tidied up. And that's salt water up there. But my hope is to get the hydroponics set up really early. And then we'll manually give it salt water to begin with. And then later on, we'll be able to get one of these areas where salt water is coming from. Oh, a clampum? Aquatic bivalves that transform sand into pearls. Okay. And if the pearls get too hot, they become carbon dioxide. And as sequinas can eat that to make slime, which I can use to ultimately make oxygen. Okay. So that's another scalable way to get oxygen. And then we have flue corals, which use salt water and lime. Okay, that's something new. There's a note taped on the empty jar on the top shelf. You add it to your inventory. View entry. Please stop stealing my Jell-O cups. I brought one for each day we're down here, and there's only 2 of us aboard, so it's not like I didn't notice. Thanks. The blue ones aren't even Jell-O. Portal unlocked. Eureka! We've discovered the research portal's final transmission. New buildings have become available. Tidal turbine, gasket pattern, and a mesh tile. View entry. Let's see. Got a quick draft done. Let me know what you think. Feels like we're getting way ahead of ourselves. Work in progress draft. In an extremely unlikely event that this emergency is a direct result of Gravitas equipment malfunction, please contact your resettlement agent. They will review the situation and recommend a course of action custom designed to suit your unique needs. This process will take up to 4 business days. Our office is open 24/7, 364 days a year. We are closed from 1 minute after midnight to 1 minute before midnight. Wait, we are closed. Yeah, so for it's like the one minute over midnight on November 7th. Oh no, they're closed literally the exact day of November 7th minus 2 minutes. Sure. Alright, so we got ourselves some new stuff. So we got a tidal turbine, converts kinetic energy from tidal spring below it into electrical power. Okay. So we can use the tidal spring, and we could build a tidal turbine on the tidal spring, and then the assumption would be the water going in and out runs the turbine. That's kind of cool. And then they gave us mesh tiles right away at the beginning because they understand we are going to be dealing with a lot of water. And with this, we have a latrine for another morale bonus. And we're actually getting research done, so that's good. What I was complaining about the number of beds of the dupes. Okay, so you did fall down there. That's fine. And clean up this water. Oh, there's actually... Okay, so there's more oxalate up here. I only saw the little bit of oxalate down here, and I was like, oh, this is going to get real with just 2 or 3 spots of oxalate. But we got some here, we got a bunch up there, we got some along there and there. So we actually have a bunch of oxalate up here. I think that was the thing to pressure you to come up this way. My duplicates have uncovered a fascinating machine. Its construction suggests it was designed with energy field disruption and retrofitted with printing capabilities. It's locked with a 13-digit passcode. One failed attempt could permanently disable the entire building. I can only hope that the code is buried somewhere else on this world. Alright, we got our first present. Okay, so we got our colony summary. Cool. We got the research. We can inspect this. Yeah, it's just the gravitas, like, having a problem there. Okay, so we can get an oxifern. We can get a bunch of coal, and then 2 people I probably don't want. So the oxifern, I believe you give normal water as how you do that. And that's a source of oxygen that consumes carbon dioxide. So I think I'm going to grab the oxifern seed for now. Yes, we're opening this up, and that gets me access to all those. I can harvest those for food. We'll let that cook for a minute. I'm trying to see if we have... Okay, so what are you? You are a beacon. You consume phosphorite and turn it into lime. And you can be consumed by a jawbone to get rust. And then you are a sequin. And you consume pearls to make slime. We can also milk them for Ovaline. And Ovaline can be turned into black wax and steam at a high enough temperature. Or carbon dioxide and caviar and mucin. If we use a gleaner. Alright, well what the hell is a mucin? Mucin can become polluted water and slime at a high enough temperature. You can also get squid ink and turn that into mucin as well. I guess we can use it in cooking. And sluggos just make mucin by themselves. There's gonna be a lot of figuring out the different critters. Yeah, so these are sluggos down here. And they leave by shells that give me lime. Okay, so I finished our first research. That gives us the basic planter box and all that. Alright, so we've got to get our food sorted out in a bad way. So we've got the compost. That should probably be over here, but right now it's going to go there. Food-wise, we got a ration box and a planter. We got our algae terrarium. We don't have a source of algae, though, so that's going to do me no good. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to go for that research next. Right here for that one, because we can use the farm tile. This requires the advanced science. We're not going to be able to do that right away. Let's go and see where we can get other goodies here. Like, got metal processing. It's Frosty Planet, and this would be for... Yeah, then we'll go for the advanced research. Seeing if there's any obvious early game tech that was from this DLC, because I'm sure there's new tech for this one, because I saw they mentioned a larger hydroponic planter. Wait, did that say radiation? I haven't even looked. So let's see our hazards. So radiation. We have a little bit of uranium over there. So nothing new radiation-wise. We can check in the germs. You're not seeing any source of germs whatsoever. We got our various farmable crops here. Which is fine. Okay, so interestingly enough, that aquatic fish has its own light. Temperature-wise, okay, everything's a bit roasty-toasty. It's not hot, but everything's a bit roasty-toasty. It's a bit on the warm side. I don't know what here's got, why this one spot is hotter than the rest of it. I don't see the source of that. And then oxygen-wise, we're doing relatively good, except for the pocket up there. I think actually oxygen we're going to not have nearly as much problems as originally concerned about, because that thing puts out a lot of oxygen. Genuinely, that might cause us to have too much pressure in oxygen, which is a weird problem to have. Oh, Beacon. You're going to potentially get nommed. Okay, there's rubber boots and all sorts of stuff down there. Let's see what all that's about. So you're turning that away. Do we have storage stuff already? We do. So let's plan. Get a bunch of storage boxes built. That way, as we're collecting things, we can have them sweep it up. Let's go ahead and put ourselves in double time for the time being. It's interesting that's saying no oxygen generation, but we do have whatever these fish are. The bloaters are technically filling that purpose. Yeah, it's salt water. Yes, everywhere around us now is salt water. Just salt water everywhere. They're gonna have to get all that figured out. So I feel like we're definitely gonna want liquid pumps early on just to move the water around wherever I need it. Oh, I should also check, so we got the tidal spring there, the tidal spring here. Trying to watch for any more things going on there. Yeah, tidal spring. Yeah, so I got the 3 tidal springs here, but I'm not seeing any more sign of any more, like, geysers or other stuff going on. There's another one way up there. Alright. Water everywhere, not drop the drink. No, it's water everywhere, so let's all have a drink. Come on, it's salty. It's just delicious water. It's not. Salt water's terrible. Okay, all standard. Yeah, so this way they could start putting stuff away, cleaning it up. I guess another thing we can go ahead and do in the meantime is we'll just put the bottle emptier here. And we'll just let them take any of the, like, the freshwater bottles that get piled up as we're cleaning stuff out. We'll just dump it into the pool down below for right now. I was debating where I just wanted to puncture a wall and let the wall, you know, like, let the water mix here, but I think that'll end up being more pain later on. Okay, so you've got all that tidied. Okay, so we have dirt from there. Okay, one thing we should probably do is all of the bathroom stuff is priority 7. So I slightly have it as a higher priority. So liquid, water. Yep, and I'm leaving this open here in the middle so liquids can get past the middle spot, but that's mostly because then this is like a really good amount of ventilation here. Okay, and how are we doing in that research? We're getting pretty far along it. Because like I said, what we'll do is we'll get this research done. And then I'm going to push for getting the better lab, and then we'll go for the water pumps and all that. Because that way I should be able to start doing some stuff with this. Now it's curious, is these store the stuff like salt water and all that. They don't produce it. So we are going to run into a lot of pains around that. I haven't seen any of these things that produce water so far. I'm sure they're going to be here. We have... Oh, right. Okay, so let's go to our next research. We're going to go down here to that so we get the lab stuff going. Alright, so... what I think we do for right now, just to have something going for food... is I'll start getting that all going. And I'm going to go over here. You put a pitcher plant thing there. Actually, let's change the way we're approaching that. We could start by cleaning this up. There we go, slowly work our way down and get access to that salt water to use that to start irrigating the stuff here. And then we're going to slowly turn this into our area where we get lettuce as our food source. And then that lettuce can also be what we feed the bloaters with. And then we can make it the intention to actually have like a bloater area to just raise them as a source of oxygen. And all that, because it's salt water that's used there. My concern is, like I said, I'm not seeing a source of salt water. And you're producing more oxygen. I'm seeing lots of oxygen production opportunities. There's another tidal spring over there. There's got to be something that's producing salt water. Unless it's literally I'm going to have to make salt water. Okay, so you just gave me the water cooler, the crafting station, and the wood heater. Okay, so the other thing we have is we do need to make the mess hall. Okay. We can do all that, and then we'll have furniture. We can put this right in the middle. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That gives me room to grow. Because I don't need to add decorations to it and all that. So I want to say those get assigned to each individual the same way. Like, I don't believe you can hot bunk in this game in the same way you can other games. Like, a person gets assigned to bed. So we're getting a complaint that the breathability is going down, and it is. Horrifically, actually. I blinked and we went from having generous amounts of oxygen. Okay. So we got a pocket here that's preventing the flow of air to get around there. Okay, we got our first skill point. Hopefully I haven't killed myself by delaying on that too much. Alright, so you're dive we'll go ahead and give you the dive master hat. But, Wishbringer here, you are the one who's supplying and operating. We'll start with the supplying, because that's going to be probably more relevant immediately. So we haven't gotten the waterweed yet. Waterweed seed, that is. Which is a problem. Because it's really counting on getting that waterweed seed. That's kind of messed with my plan in a pretty difficult way. So we got Server Lord here. You also gained a level. So you're gonna get hard digging. Burning Sun here has gained a level. You're gonna get better building. So food we're okay, but air is a problem. We actually have relatively decent pressure here. There's just a block right there that I can't quite get around. I hate to do this because it's probably going to cause us problems. But I gotta get waterweed there. We haven't seen it up here. Okay, that one. So I need you to harvest that right away so we can get the waterweed. So we can plant that to start dealing with it. We got a waterweed seed. You'll need to get that going. Alright. Lock this door open. Okay, and you got that far. So you can go here. We can cancel that spot. And we can go ahead and put the pump over here for right now. And with that, we'll be able to go down here and get a little bit of the salt water going. And then as this lowers, we'll just shimmy it down. And then eventually I'll put it down on the bottom side here where we can go ahead and do that. Alright, so is that a new biome? Yep, we have constructed outside our existing biome because I've technically breached that slightly. So you've been halted due to irrigation. Okay, so we've got salt water there. So with that, we can start taking the salt water, irrigating the water weed. And we'll just do that and slowly work through salt water here. And then we'll slowly work through the next set of salt water, and that'll hopefully help all that. Okay. And what do you need? Because I saw I could plant you for snacks. So your fertilizer is salt, which I do have a couple places we can get that. So I think what I'm going to do here is make another spot up here. Okay, so choose a blueprint. Sure, we'll take the water. And once this gets grown and established, we'll start clearing this up and dropping it down. I'm guessing you both know each other. Otherwise, that'd be a very weird exchange if you didn't know each other. Okay. So, what we can do over here is, for right now, we can go right across here. And I'll leave that one alone for right now, and I'll plant the, what is it, like, the sody cane or whatever it is, up here. To give us some more of a food supply, because the food supply is going to be the next painful. You just randomly accost Sams in your personal life? That's fair. What did the oxygen fern need? The oxygen fern needed carbon dioxide, which is fair. So go up here. There's a sody cane. Alright, so now we want to grab the research here. And I did say I was going to go up there, but I think we're going to have a change of plan that liquids are going to be a priority. So that'll give me the carbon scrub, or no, that's not what the carbon scrubber is. So that's liquids, this will be our plumbing stuff, and then our other blocks. We'll grab you to start with. They don't care about that, don't care about this. Don't care about that yet. Meanwhile, research-wise, we have the supercomputer. We deconstruct that, which I already made the comment I probably shouldn't have put it there. That's fine. Now you can go power. Okay, so copy settings, do all this. Okay, so basically we're going to use salt here. Blunk. We're going to use salt here for this food supply. And then down here we're going to be using salt water. This will be effectively our source of oxygen, and this will be our source there. That said, I am going to go down here really fast to put just one block right there. Not right there, that's a terrible spot for it. I'm going to put just one block right here. Because I'll put the oxyfern down here to just deal with the carbon dioxide, because I don't really have a means of getting rid of the carbon dioxide right now. But I got that oxyfern that's at least something. I can't remember. So you... Is it literally just carbon dioxide that you need? Looking at the actual, is what I want to see is the actual oxyfern plant, not the seed. Yeah, so irrigation, dirt, and water. That's fine. So meanwhile, we need to go back down here to refinement and have the compost. And I don't really know where I'm putting that right now, because that's gonna offset bad stuff. What I could do is put, well, there's like, we're not gonna have room over there for the water. I think what I'm gonna do with this is gonna be a little bit of a cursed idea. Because that'll block water from this side. I think I'm literally just going to put the compost thing right there. Again, probably not the right place to put it, but limited space, so we're just making do. Okay, and the breathability is catastrophically low. So let's go and quickly try and get ourselves a bit more air here. And this will unleash salt water into the area, but it is what it is. Yeah, the breathability is real bad. We got the liquid pumps and all that for when we need it. New colony achievement. Hatch an egg with a new critter morph. So what are you? So you're a bloater fry. You still excrete that, but what makes you... So you still just produce the oxygen. Okay. Yes, that's pulsing every once in a while. It's actually got air pressure limitations. I wonder why the air pressure is dropping off so hard. I didn't think about that. Because my concern is we were going to be like endlessly adding to our air pressure, not the other way around, because we'd be converting the oxygen to carbon dioxide, and the carbon dioxide is going to collect. But now I'm looking at it, I'm not really seeing hardly any air of any kind. It's like, it's almost like we're losing it to vacuum, but I don't see... Like, we've opened the space up. But these things are, yeah, we removed a lot of rocks, but these things are spitting out 15 kilograms of oxygen per cycle. And you ate that. Alright, so we just need them to eat a lot more of the waterweed. I did poke a hole up here to start letting this oxalate get sorted. That is going to dump salt water on me, which I'm not loving the idea of, but it is what it is. As it comes by here, we'll get little bits of the salt water out. And then my plan is to slowly work our way down here to the point we can get below this and slowly pump the salt water over here as our irrigation thing. All right. It's always the trick when you're doing a new DLC in Oxygen Not Included. They always have different ways to tackle the same problem. And there's definitely that stage of going, okay, but how do I do this thing? How do I do that thing? That kind of stage. So our breathability is coming up. Like, and by a lot. I'll also have you dig that out a little bit wider. Again, help with the airflow. I think that's what's going to happen is we're just going to need to try and stay the course until I can get these going enough that we get a bunch of these going, that we can support a couple bloaters. We'll definitely need to get the animal husbandry stuff so I can like make myself a little bloater room that'll be like part farm, part, you know, part habitat for the bloaters and all that. Alright, so we got our next research. So let's grab hydroponic one. Because we do that, we can move away from the pitcher plant and just pump the water through. Oh, I don't have a researcher capable of doing it. 1 second. Let's see. So that's coal power. I don't know if we even have coal here. Don't worry about all that. We can get where we could convert water into oxygen hydrogen. That might be fun later, but I don't think we have what we need for dealing with that. We can get the air pumps. That's not going to be a thing for a while. It actually looks like, honestly, oxygen's going to be a big thing. We can get decorations that'll make everyone's morale higher. That'll be something we need later. I mean, that does give me the bigger battery. Let's go ahead and get that going for right now. So that'll give us the sink and the shower. Okay. Now, the problem is if we use... Well, we're going to have a lot of sand. We could definitely turn... We could definitely go and get the laboratories and all that, turn that into polluted water, then turn the polluted water back into fresh water and do that whole cycle. I want to say that's, I believe, an advanced tech for the, yeah, it's right here. It's the sieve. Yeah, I want to get the sieve because then we can switch these using laboratories and all that. And then they're tidying up all the stuff to make the rooms nicer. Water weeds grow real slow. I had not anticipated that being an issue. That's the thing, whereas all impressed was like, oh man, you're making like 15 kilograms of water per cycle, like that's a pretty solid amount per like each time you eat. I didn't anticipate how incredibly slow the stuff was growing. And we could punch through here and get access to a bit more food up here. We got more salt water up there. I think for right now I want to focus on this salt water. So we got that ready. So that gives us the jumbo battery. I probably should try and get in here using one of these. Because we got the turbine. That requires a rubber gasket. So you produce 300 watts, converts the kinetic energy from tidal spring below into electric power. It does create 625 DTUs. Is that not a lot of... No, I guess it's not as bad as I was thinking. That's a decent amount of heat. So I can put this on there for 300 watts. At least this map doesn't have to worry about the pipes freezing, yeah. So I can put that on there for 300 watts of constant power, basically. Which would honestly not be bad. That's actually, so it's 300, so it's slightly less than the wheel, but it doesn't require someone running on it. So it's a constant and, you know, constant energy that I don't have an input I've got to worry about. So there's a good there. Let's see, so I got another one there. So I got a bunch of those along the left side. And as we're expanding, I'm just trying to watch for if we have any other geysers or anything else to keep in mind, exploit, whatever. So our food is starting to get not amazing. Which honestly might just be I need to expand this farm more. But that's waiting on seed, so it doesn't do me any good for a while anyways. Okay. Getting sulfur. Hey, Dream, thank you so much for the raid. I hope you've had a great rest of your stream and all that stuff. We can get a shout out for So Ever Dream. Friend of the channel, absolutely fantastic content creator and all that stuff. There's a new DLC. Yep, came out today. Was playing some Voiding Bound, which is a game I was curious to be checking out. I got a hold of a key the other day. I haven't had a chance to check it out. It was weird that you have like these creatures and you mind control them and then make them fight things, and there's a whole like genetically altering them, and it's a whole basket of things. But definitely we'll grab the decorations. Definitely looked like a very solid game and all that stuff. But yeah, and there's a brand new DLC. It's very good. You recommend checking it out if you have time. Yeah, no, that's always the catch is like I think what there's like 8 games that came out today, or you know, / major updates. It's definitely one I'm curious about. So it's cool to see you playing it because it'd been one that I've been looking at, being like, you know, I'm wondering how good this is. But yeah, there's a brand new DLC that came out for Oxygen Not Included today. That you start with like an aquatic plant. I believe we already have swimwear for everyone. I'll grab that because we're struggling on oxygen. Where we got these puffer fish that eat water seed or water weed and turn it into oxygen, and it's not. That was my plan, was to exploit that, and oxygen's getting real dicey, so you see how that's going. We don't need that ladder anymore. Gotta do a quick eat. Went over to pizza. It's getting on hot. Not on hot pizza. Nah, you go get that food. Thank you again so much for that rating again. Check out So Ever Dream. Plays a lot of similar games to what we play here. Definitely good times. Highly recommended. All good stuff. So we got our power. Yeah, the tidal turbine does seem like an interesting one. Not a lot of power, but it's low effort power. So you just smack that sucker down and then plug it in. But it looks like it's going to have to be submerged. And that'll be the curiosity, is like making it so... Okay, so now it's outputting water. We'll have to keep enough water to keep those all going. That's going to be the big catch. There's going to have to be a source of more water here, because I've not found it yet. Because those aren't creating water, they're just taking the same water and putting it in and out. So there's got to be something that's going to output salt water. Let's see here. Okay, and we've got lights and flower pots. We're not going to worry about any of that yet. Okay, so salt water. So sources of salt water. We could put salt and that together into an emulsifier to make salt water. So that's the only listed source of salt water. So that means there's not a creature that, like, poops out salt water. Yes, make the oxygen. Yes. Any second now. Okay, there's the saltwater breach I was worried about, but we needed the air, so we embraced that. So now we've got mixed liquids here. Alright, so we definitely need to get those breeding to get more of them. Get a bunch of stuff down here. And you're doing your thing as much as we can with the carbon dioxide as it gets down there. Blood is going to release from the wrong end. Severe constipation. Little bit. I believe these go faster if they're domesticated. I'm going to have to uproot that thing and just plant it. I need the higher rate. And then these are at confined. And then being confined, they're just not going to produce as much eggs and all that. So we're going to pull that up. That way they can join the others. And they'll tear that up. Deconstruct those. Alright, so we got more research done. And a lot of this is going to be a little bit wasteful. But we make these nicer, that'll help morale, which makes people move faster and all that. Is it the thing I should be prioritizing? Almost certainly not. But I'm kind of just trying to hold out here for the population of those things increase. Does the tidal spring consume water? It seems to keep equal what it takes in and spits out. That's what it seems to be, is that it's like literally taking water in and then putting it out. It doesn't seem to like retain the water or anything like that. I'll just keep grabbing these lower tech because we don't have a dedicated researcher. A wicker door. Okay. Alright, so with this, what we can potentially do is I can potentially give myself a platform to walk across here or whatever. And then we could drop down in here and harvest all that stuff for more food and whatever. And maybe check out some more stuff over here. Because, yeah, what I need to happen is we need to get a researcher. Because we get through all Tech 1 research, and I don't have a dedicated research person. Okay, meanwhile, let's go here. Clean all that up. Because I keep these growing, then these can continue to make oxygen for us, and hopefully that works, because we're fast burning through our oxalate supply, and when that's gone, it's gone. We'll push up here because there's more in this area. there's another tidal spring. Yeah, I think that's at a net loss. Or not a net loss, as a neutral. It's hard to tell with what we've got here. The other one that gives us oxygen is this flue coral, which also requires lime and salt water. We've got obsidian here, which is going to be a little rough. So it could even be a thing that we need to go out of our way to poke through to get those flue corals that do exist in the world. That'd actually be a thing, because I could poke through over here. They could poke through over here, and then this would bleed out just a little bit of salt water. And we can start pumping the salt water out to use in our stuff down here. Because this will give us a minor source of oxygen from this thing as well. So let's open that up. And then the catch-22 is the more space I'm opening, the most space I have to pressurize. Now granted, oxygen doesn't just vanish passively. Something's got to consume it. But there's still that early, like, okay, but we don't have it, so we gotta deal with it. I also need to have a dedicated area for the salt water eventually, but we'll worry about that when we get there. Meteor showers. Okay, well I can't see the surface, so I'm not really sweating that right now. Grab our harvesting stuff, see if we got any new plants we've been able to see out the periphery. Check for more geysers. And that's just those tidal ones. I'm imagining a big thing is going to be getting all these tidal things wired together in a way that they're usable. Is going to be a big send. It does seem like they can take in any kind of water, or any type of liquid rather. So it does seem like ultimately down the road I could genuinely make this like the place where have like this room be, you know, our freshwater handling, polluted water handling, and just let them, you know, do whatever with the water. Make our reservoirs where those happen to be. Okay, we're getting a little bit more calories in, which is good because our calories are not up to snuff. We did finally get another one of these. So let's go ahead and pop up here real fast because I need yet more food. And then when that's done, we'll carve this area up here and we'll tell them to plant more of that. Okay, breathability is still slowly recovering. And I've also got you down here. I've got a lot of obsidian here. Yeah, they seem like they're mostly intended on being effectively, you know, a low-effort passive form of power generation. What I gotta figure out is how many tiles of water one of these needs to be functional. Like, do I need 8 tiles of salt water? Well, 9 tiles of salt water, and then it'll run, like, go back and forth constantly. I genuinely don't know. It does feel like I could box that in. And just, like, make it self-sufficient and just close it off as, like, passive power. So we're waiting on all that, waiting on this. They're getting all that tidied up. Yeah, so each one of those is like 1,000 kcal, which isn't too terrible. And you're just delivering things to everywhere. Unrefrigerated food. Honestly, man, none of our food is getting to the point of rotting, so it's not that big a deal. Not yet, at least. Okay, we got another research done, which is for our air pumping. Yeah, we'll definitely want to switch all this over to hydroponics eventually. But right now, that's not a priority. Okay. So probably want to track a couple different materials. So, track the salt. That's going to be one we're going to need to worry about. Track the sand is one we're going to need to worry about. The rubber gaskets for passive power. I actually do have algae. I lied. Earlier I was like, oh, I don't have a source of algae. We actually did get algae from somewhere. So I'll track all that for now. It's actually an okay amount of algae, too. We really don't have much carbon dioxide yet. Like, this is going back and forth. I could go through here and do this right now, the oxygen diffuser. We could use that as to kind of bridge the gap for the moment. Some algae, yeah, I guess there's a bunch of algae down there. Yeah, I missed where the initial algae came from, but that's okay. Yeah, so you can keep mining in there. And you don't give a lot of oxygen, but you do trickle it up. Oh, it's not letting me because it's not mined out yet. They'll get there. Alright, so we got our decorations done for those ones. That's fine. I'm surprised you're not dead yet. Yeah, so you eat polluted dirt and rot pile. And they excrete sand. And occasionally they'll get rid of their shell for lime. I actually do feel like the poke shells we probably will want in the long term. But we'll see. Dig that tile up. Okay, so that's going to release the, what little air comes out of this thing. It'll release that up here to supplement our air just a smidge. And go a bit higher. Alright, so it's aesthetic and piloting, so no research. We don't know what the rubber boots do yet. Protects wearer from soggy feet and slippery floors. Allows bionic duplicants to cross small puddles without liquid exposure damage. So have you put on those clothes. Breathability is at 100%. That's because this thing is just firing away right now. It's eating our algae. It's going to eat it up very quickly, in fact. But all of this is kind of to buy us time while we scale up other stuff. That's at least what I'm intending in my head. Okay, let's check up here for things to harvest. Got a bunch more over here. Bunch more up there. And then we can go here and again check for temperatures. Yeah, so we got more of the tidal things. So there's a lot of these tidal things everywhere. I mean, that's already talking almost a, not quite 2,000 watts of power. So enough that we could overload multiple lines. So honestly, that might be our main power source. So like this map power might not be that big of a headache. It will just be an issue there. Oh, and our food is absolutely catastrophic. Like, trying to deal with it, but I need, like, we definitely misplayed a couple things trying to figure out where it needed to be the priorities. But that's kind of the same thing like when we did the dino one where they secreted chlorine and then just gassing yourself with chlorine to death was like a genuine problem with that one. What are you? Oh. Salt back wall. That's fine. Man, those things grow slow. Alright, so we're getting food poisoning germs in here? Oh, that's not, why is there such aggressive amounts of food poisoning germs going in there? Polluted dirt. I see. And I'm assuming it got dropped in the water. Okay, got liquid valves and all that. Let's see from here. We'll get the medicine stuff for right now. Like, basically, I'm sitting here waiting for the dupe skills to go up so I can start trying to get a researcher together, or for a dupe to print with research skill. Starvation, unreachable food. Tear into that, because that's more food there you can get at. Oh, you can't reach that. I've been sitting here going, it's like, why are they not getting that done? They can't reach it. Well, this is going to be a real problem because they finally got a skill. You are an operating person. Congratulations. You're a researcher now. And then with that, we are going to need to deal with 1,000 things that I probably don't have time for because things are already in a bad way. We can work on getting the ranching going. Because we can get that, we can potentially get these guys down here doing better. We can go ahead and get our hydroponics and all that up. And we're trying our best to get the food moving, but it seems like, why do I have a little bit of polluted water down here too? Alright, you. You're getting murdered. There, you've got tiny amounts of food you got access to. And thank you, Elizabeth, for the tier 1 sub. That is 20 months you've been subbed to the channel. I really do appreciate the continued support. It really does mean a lot. And thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Yep, so get that thing out of here. You can eat some raw shellfish. Enjoy. And the algae is gone. Yeah, so I got some quick food by just running in there real fast and tearing that up. We've got some more waterweed plants in here. There's no going around this thing, so I'm just going to tear right through here. And I'll grab that waterweed and all that. So I can continue doing it, because the waterweed can also be a source of food. Okay. What I ought to do is switch you for a mesh towel to let that, carbon dioxide be able to escape there. This will get backed up in carbon dioxide. I'm not too fussed about that. I'm pretty sure... So those are decorative plants. I don't care about that. And we will uproot these so that they can be brought home and planted down here. And I suspect, honestly, I'm going to be booing the waterweed along the whole bottom here in a big way. Are we working on which one now? The animal husbandry. But if we can get the hydroponics, I'll put that down there so we can start, like, somewhere down here doing the salt water. Yeah, that's a mess hall, so that's good. Oh, do you have priority 7 on all those? Yes, you do. Cool. Yep, so we're getting our food and just barely managing to get through. And we definitely need to make a place for taking care of those fish and whatnot. There's a lot of things we could do with a bunch of this. I think the next goal is to just mine through here, get into that, get our additional waterweed. Okay, so what can we use you for? If you get too hot, you become magma. If we crush you, you become sand. You can be eaten to become phosphate or coal. Okay, so just kind of like your regular, like, stone material. My duplicates have found the survivor exploring the reef biome. She seems fascinated by the clam pump. She offered to trade us 1 gasket for 2 flu coral seeds for 200 kilograms of pearls. I must enable delivery to ensure to keep my end of the bargain. I guess you are immune to everything. I'll enable delivery, but I don't anticipate getting over there anytime soon. You got a bunch of polluted water over here. We have a tower kelp, so this is another one. So the tower kelp will consume polluted water and polluted dirt. And eventually makes a kelp hole. Which can be harvested for nori. Which is, you know, a food item. Interesting. Alright, sure, why not? Yeah, we got a cold area over here, whatever that is. And oxygen is still alright. We're still on the fence food-wise, but we are expanding our farm and we aren't increasing the, we aren't increasing the amount of the other stuff we have going on. This is eventually going to be contaminated into salt water just to keep it underwater. Which is fine. Alright. So if I want to hook this up to exploit it, so go to here, go to power, because we got this one here. I'm trying to think of which would be, so we got those ones up there, got these two down here. This one's no longer underwater, so it doesn't function. This one is. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to plan to put the turbine. I've also got the one directly underneath it that we haven't done anything with. I think we'll plan to put you there. And for the time being, let's assume we need 9 tiles. I have no idea what the actual amount we need is. Yeah, and that way if it overflows, it could push back out. So we need power. Cable. It's right by the top. That works out really well for me. So I could plan for that to be up there. Okay. So what'll end up happening here is I will need to be able to reach all this. But we'll worry about getting that all set up as we get in there. Because right now, they just need to run the wheel. It's not costing me that much time. It's not the end of the world. So we just ran out of algae entirely. So at this stage, we're no longer able to use that as a source of air. We do have the oxalate up here. We did pop into there to get a little trickle of power out of that. And that's slowly actually gaining a decent amount of pressure. We're slowly expanding that farm as we get more seeds. And this is getting expanded as we get more there as well. Okay. And how goes your effort? So they are actively working on getting the research done for our husbandry stuff. When we can deal with that. It's going to be interesting how we deal with the liquids long term. I do think with all these random things producing small amounts of oxygen, it's probably going to be in my best interest over time to just punch into these various spaces to let that trickle of oxygen help. Yeah, so you want 200 kilograms of pearls, which is fine. The pearls we get out of the giant clam things. Which I know I have one down here. And there's one right next to that person. We'll worry about that when we get there. Right now they're still tidying up. We're not in a rush. I'm wondering what we can do to, So the overall germ count is going down, and generally the germs will self-solve a lot of the times. You know, stuff like radiation, heat, all that stuff can mitigate it. It's only things that are particularly nasty sources of germs tend to escalate. Alright, so we got you. Okay. So we actually have someone who's got the ability to dedicate as a researcher, which I do think is worth doing. The problem I have right now is our food and our air are both dicey, and this would increase my consumption by 30%, which is not ideal. I think I'm gonna go for it though. So I think I am gonna take this person, and that's gonna be Fluxren. So you'll either make our lives easier or doom us, and nowhere in between. All right, and that'll be our last dupe for a good while. We can go to dupe skills. We got Fluxren here, so you're getting the research. Put on your hat. And then for you, get better at digging, and for you, get better at building. Improve construction. Super hard digging. Too many dupes equals too much food and water required? Yes. Well, that's the thing. And usually I'll sit at around 4 dupes for a pretty good while. Okay. Priority-wise... That's fine. And honestly, anyone who's got free time and not a higher priority, help with the farming. We don't have an actual dedicated farmer. Oh, right, we're also going to need a person with the animal husbandry skill. That'll be another thing we'll have to deal with. We have a pretty not great skill mix right now. Yeah, because no one's got a passion for farming or for the animal stuff, so that'll certainly be an interesting thing. I'll probably end up having to bring on another person. But for the time being, just keep everyone at it. It'll be fine. Or it won't. I don't care. Meanwhile, what we could probably do is go to our skills and... Well, sorry, sked priorities. So you're a dedicated researcher. Then actually go to the others. And I'm gonna go their skill, or their priorities. You don't research. And operating is fine, tidying is fine, doctoring is fine. And we're gonna have all those set to be low priority. Oh, and you also have attacking as up there. And everything else is probably okay. I don't want to lower the doctoring on any of them, just in case. We don't have a cook. Alright. As long as we don't see anyone, being, like, idle or whatever, then we're okay. And you're about to finish researching the ranching, then we'll get the hydroponic stuff set up. At which point we'll want to start converting these to hydroponics. Yeah, because this will allow me to make these into dedicated areas, but we don't have someone who's got the ranching skill to work them, so it doesn't do us any good. I didn't think about that till we got there, which is fine. Okay, and air's holding up. Food is still rough. Soon I'll be able to punch through here, get a little bit more food source. Okay, decent amount of air up there. How does the air split up? Yes, the air's really good up here. The oxygen's pretty bad there. The carbon dioxide's fine down here. It looks like there's a lot, but it's not very dense. The big thing is being able to increase the bloater population. Generally, I've found the wild animals, the population will just kind of sit. Like, they'll kind of like one animal just keep replacing itself. It's pretty rare they'll actually get ahead. That I found you usually have to ranch to get them to go higher. Okay. We've almost got another one of those planted. I'd love to be able to get another row of them up here just as a precaution, because they don't take water or whatever. So worst case, if we start getting a surplus of food, I just lower the priority on them and we don't have to worry about it. Okay. How are the different settings going? So, yeah, +4 morale, +1 morale, +1 morale. I'm actually surprised that... Oh, it is a Great Hall. Really? It's not a banquet. It's missing, one decoration building. And a communal table. Still. So that's a bunch here. Alright, Server Lord, you have a good one. Got the farming stuff going on, germ overlay. So the germs here are still continuing to decline, which is good. The decorations, you see, this is starting to get all green here. But that still, there's a lot of debris on the ground, penalizing the attractiveness. And the reason you care about that is morale. Morale will affect the ability for people to work, how fast they can work, all that stuff. But they are slowly getting everything put into storage. Yeah, so reproduction, at 100% they'll reach the end of their production cycle and lay a new egg. Now, another thing we could potentially do is go around the map as we get into these new areas and capture more of them and chuck them in here. As long as we don't let it get to the point of cramped or crowded or whatever, we should be fine. But that, again, I think still requires the ranching. Alright. Continue to bring that over. Got more oxygen and stuff over here. What I can do is mine those two tiles up here. And then poke a little spot here. And that'll let the little... Oh no, that's not gonna matter. Forget all that. Because if we pop into this room, that'll be a slight trickle more, more oxygen. So I go 2. Open that up. You can walk along the bottom here. Okay, that'll allow them to go back down up and get into this area. Open that up. We want to avoid the polluted water a little bit over here. Yeah, there's a lot of polluted water over here. Any new harvest spots? We haven't expanded too much out in the periphery. And check for more geysers and whatnot. And if you're curious how I'm checking for the geysers, I'm looking for these dark green spots. It's just the blocks they are on basically are completely resistant to temperature change. And so they show up pretty well on here where you can spot them. Okay, so you got to research for the hydroponics. We're not worried about the fancier cooking and all that. I don't have access to any of that stuff. That's spaced out things we don't care about. More power generation, power generation. The smart batteries can be helpful if we need anything like that. The fire pole can be really good to help get around. Brute force refinement isn't the worst in the world. This all stuff's not too bad. We are going to have sources of slime. Yeah, let's go ahead and get that for the water sieve. Because with the water sieve... Yeah, this is a new DLC that came out literally today. Alright. Because with the water sieve... So I wonder, can I literally put you over a block that's already existing? No, so let's go ahead and we'll start by deconstructing the ones not yet in use. Switch those to hydroponic. And then the intention of what we're going to do here is I'll probably start where we got all this salt water on this side of the map. We'll start like enclosing these ones to get them powered. And then get basically a circuit where I can pump water into that. So I don't have to manually deal with them anymore. And that'll just save my people time. Because that'll just be plant and harvest. Alright. And they're still tidying up. Like, it's getting close to tidied. But yeah. And also check out Bassett does like a lot of turn-based RPGs, Digimon, Pokemon, stuff like that. Kind of a channel you can go to just like watch gameplay. But you know, if you're into that, you can find it there. Alright, so we've accidentally made a water gate where this won't actually get through there. You can't quite reach this, so we're gonna probably have to go here. And just dig up along there to lower the water level enough that the air can get around. Because otherwise this will just continue to pressurize. That's fine. Okay. Because I'm really hoping that that flue coral will be enough. Alright, so that should detach from the ceiling. And then the oxygen can flow around it. And... there we go. Alright, so we got lubrication station, sludge press, gas filter, liquid filter. Alright, we got you going. So I'll need to get over here to get this whole power situation set up. And actually, I can do that now. I don't have to wait. Because you bleed over a little, it's just going to put salt water in my little saltwater spot right here. Because this has a wall here. And I might need to avoid going through there to start with. Okay, so what we can do then here, let's take this power over here, bring it on. Honestly, we can just cut that right across. But with this, since this will be 300 watts consistently, I can get rid, or sorry, 400 watts? I can get rid of this entirely. It serves no purpose at that point. And I believe they'll, you know, have the industrial rooms out of there. Yeah, so let's not build these 2 tiles yet. Like I said, my hope is that this will be enough that I could drain this down and pump this up. Because if that proves true, then I can continue to, like, repeat that pattern here. And that'll just take care of those. Okay. Yeah, so it looks like they got a stamina bar for the swimming that only recovers while they sleep. But yeah, then what we could do is I could tear this open and all that. We gotta watch, because this is a source of oxygen that I don't want to accidentally waste. Also, that reminds me, we did explore farther to the left here. There's that, and any more geysers, I think? We've got one down there. Yeah, you got ourselves another water seed, so we can go ahead and copy you, paste you there. Okay. And I'll help with that a little bit. You love that they swim now? Yeah, it's a skill. So I actually have one of my people, Flux, running around here, my researcher. They can't swim, while the others can. But all your starting dupes, as far as it looks like on this, automatically get the skill they need for swimming. I'm hoping they're smart enough to, like, manually build that. I actually haven't checked to see if that is a thing or not. Okay, so I've got you here. I can't... One second. We literally have no spare food. I can't take that on. I'll just grab that. I don't know if we'll use that anytime soon. Because, like, we're juggling so hard on just the very edge of starvation. I cannot take on more mouths to feed right now. We'll put a bit more of those over here. Okay. And we're just doing what we can to expand our food production as much as possible. We're getting those little trace amounts of food that's keeping us alive. No one's starved to death yet, but it's definitely been pretty dicey the whole time. Okay, so you have all that. Yeah, so it's looking like they're not automatically going to deal with this, so this is a bit of a problem right now. Okay, so we've got that research done. That's for the sea we'll end up needing. This is for liquid storage and all that. Let's go ahead and grab the liquid storage for the time being. Alright. And so now I could do here. Is we could enclose this thing. Ah, so it's a waiting flow. So that runs for a while. But it's effectively free power. That's still fine. To make it into a laboratory. So you need 2 science buildings, no industrial machinery. So the battery, I don't believe counts as industrial, but the water or the wheel does. I'm going to deconstruct that to make this count as a laboratory. Looking for a good level of Spino? Gotcha. Because my hope is that runs frequently enough to manage that. So that should be a laboratory now. Nice. And you're still working on that food there. We're riding on the knife's edge of food this whole time up here. You've got that for air coming in. There's no food over there. Unreachable food. We're starting to have our first instances of starvation starting to set in. We can get over here. That is more food options over there. We're also waiting to be able to get up here as well. Oh, good. We're starting to get our harvest right now. Why are you upset? Fertilizer. Okay, so just got our trace of more food coming in, so it's at least something. The trait fast learner? Yeah, I haven't played Ark, so I honestly don't know the traits that... I mean, I have played Ark. I'm sorry, that's not true. I have played Ark, but I have not played it in so long, like, don't know about the traits and all that. We'll go ahead and we'll disable that building. There, so I don't have the red icon pulsing the whole time I'm there. Okay. Ascendant is a different beast. Yeah, so let's go over here. Dig that down. And I'll bring this down here. Okay. And I'll want to put... some tiles here. We're going to go ahead and start getting stuff built over here. So we're going to put a water pump there. I'm going to bring the power up from here. And I guess, honestly, for right now, I could put like a regular old floor there. For the time being. And that'll take some doing, but we'll get that hooked up. And that should allow us to pump the salt water into here to have those get automatically irrigated so I don't have to manually deal with it. I can start working on that. Do not... do that block until the rest is done. So I don't cross-contaminate. Alright, air is getting dicey as well, which I don't love to see. And we want to puncture up here. Because then we got more food we can get at in this area. I need a lot more of a lot more. Because the good news is once I get these all hooked up to be hydroponics, we can take the pitcher pump out of there for the salt water. And then once we've got ourselves the another gasket, I can put that up here and start getting that one set up to do the same thing this is. Okay. Okay, so we got another research done. That was the research for water storage. I don't think we need the odorizer. The insulation block can be really good. I'm gonna actually get the drywall, because that'll be something we can burn materials on as this storage gets filled up to improve the aesthetics and all that. Keep our moods up. Yeah, so oxygen's getting bad again. Everything's bad. It definitely feels like this one we're struggling so much harder. To be fair, I didn't get an agriculture person or an animal husbandry person. You think you saw wetsuits? Yeah, we've got like a wetsuit in here. Alright, so let's go back up here to the harvestables. Got some more stuff up there. More stuff over here. Yep. Check the temperatures. If there's anything exciting on the periphery. Yes, we got a very cold biome. Right now it just looks like saltwater and brine. I'm not seeing anything that stands out as particularly exciting there. And now we got one that's a mix of hot and cold over there. We can't see what the other biome is. Alright, so let's look at this. So we got the hydro sensor, don't care. Insulated pipe, and then the water storage, which we won't worry about right now. Okay. We're gonna get the last of that all enclosed. I mean, this seems to be keeping the battery mostly charged. We got a couple people with minor stress, and it looks like the air's recovering again. Yeah, we're starting to actually see a decent amount of carbon dioxide. For the carbon dioxide, we're going to need have to do the carbon scrubber. The thing that's got me worried is I'm seeing a lot of things we can use to consume water, and there's water everywhere, but I'm not seeing a way to make water on any meaningful capacity, which is the thing that's worrying me. There's going to be some process we have to generate water, and I haven't quite figured out what that is yet. Because these here just move it in and out. They don't create or destroy water as far as I can tell. And I've been checking with a bunch of the wildlife. They also don't seem to create or destroy water in any capacity. Okay, so with that we can go over here and go to pipe. Geysers, gotta explore. Yeah, no, that's normally what it is, and that's the reason, like, as we've been expanding, I've been checking, seeing if we see geysers anywhere. Right now, though, the immediate thing I gotta do is I've got to get our, Wait, where's that pipe going? Oh, that's fine. The immediate thing, though, is I gotta stabilize our food and our air. They've been rocky this whole time. I think in the meantime, we'll just push up here. So they're both full of salt water. That's the thing that's going to be the trick, is this is my freshwater supply. I'm going to need to find a way to, like, funnel the salt water off to the side, which we've been doing. That's walled off there. Honestly, I would take this staircase straight up here and poke there. We could just drain the salt water in here as this goes down. But we'll want to do some work with that.
My little husband.
Hi, wifey.
Is my sweet little husband doing sweet little husband things?
I mean, my people are slowly starving to death.
That's not so sweet.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Love. Yeah, we got a bunch of salt water over here. We'll work on getting all this stuff brought over. This definitely feels like the kind of map that you could just dump the water in the bottom in the long run. Just have these set up periodically to deal with what you gotta deal with. I'm waiting for them to get these two pipes to get set up. Then we're gonna switch all of that over to hydroponic tiles. And that could be as well as things that we could just keep expanding that. Alright, so we're now good to be on the hydroponics. So if we check on our pipelines, we're pumping the salt water down here. As long as we don't allow this to get mixed contaminated, I shouldn't have to juggle much of this. Okay, so with this, it is time for us to deconstruct the regular farm tiles. We're going to switch it all over to hydroponics. And that as we get more of the water weeds, honestly, considering they only take salt water, I think we just keep expanding it. Okay. Oh, do we have those set to 7? Yeah. Alright, so with these, they should just have to plant the seed and then harvest them as things expand, which is fine. Because this will be a relatively large water reservoir down here. And then these produce food for us as well as the stuff for them to make air. And you're still expanding that up there, which is totally fine. Alright, what do we got this time? Give me the rust. Yeah, we can't go higher without breaching the salt water here. Yeah, so I think that's what we'll do, is we'll slowly drain the salt water from here, and then we'll move into other areas to drain more salt water. And just open up more and more space in here. Okay, you're starting to complain about the heat. It has been sitting at relatively warm in this place this whole time. We are going to have to figure out a good way of dealing with that. Right, so you've got all that. Not worry about doing the fabric there. We've got automation stuff. I'll grab that right now, even though we're not going to be focusing on it too much. Okay. And do I need drywall? No. 1 second. Hold up, what am I doing? So cancel all that. Okay, go here. Drywall. We got all sorts of fancy patterns and all that. The least we can do... is burn through all of this material. Alright. You put the kelp on there. That's fine. So that's just, we've got like 17,000 of that material. And this just be like, man, just burn it. Oh, it's giving me all the salt from the back wall. Okay. That's a win in my book. Okay, and you got you. Copy settings, bring it across. It does look like I've got enough to support this, so I'm going to go here to this tile. And this tile. I've got plenty. Don't do that one, so I don't have to worry about reaching down there. We can go over here for right now and go pipe. Okay, we'll let them continue to do that as we get the water seeds and all that stuff. Alright, but said you have a good one. Sleep well and all that good stuff. So get all that cleaned up. Get all those rooms going nice. One of the next things we're going to do is we're going to want to get the water sieve. I haven't figured out how I want to deal with the temperature is kind of the big thing right now, because the map was already fairly warm to begin with. And it's mostly staying kind of the same right around that 90 temperature that it started at. But of course, these two rooms that are generating heat are slowly making that temperature climb to a point it will eventually be a problem. What is your temperature limit here? $149, so we don't have to worry about that. What is your temperature limit? 104. They actually have a fairly wide range of temperatures that are people get pretty upset long before that's a problem. Starvation popping again. Air's low still. We're dealing with it. I'm expanding my farm. I'm expanding my other farm. We don't have another seed, so it's just waiting. As the seeds become available, we're expanding. I could cut across here and get a tiny bit more food from this area. It's not going to help too much, but it's at least something. It's not going to help too much in there, I don't think. Yep, and just like that, when we start checking these rooms decor-wise, that's not the right thing. Like, you see they're starting to get greener and greener as they're starting to get all that going. And hey, the ends, how's it going? Yeah, the tricky thing with what I've got here is how I go lower than this. We'll probably end up having like another ladder that goes around this way to go a bit deeper. Now let's check out the inns. Another fantastic content creator. Does a lot of similar games to here. Does a lot of like slice of life, life sim, your Stardew Valleys, your Coral Islands, among many other different types of games. But good times over there. Definitely someone worth checking out. Okay, so you got a little bit of food over there. And you're a source of, was it lime that you gave me? Phosphorate. We're gonna have to get an agricultural person, though. There we go, and we're getting ourselves a nice little underwater scene on the background there. Yeah, it's because all the junk laying on the floor. There's junk laying on the floor that gives a negative view as well. Okay, and you've got more of those available. That's good to see. Right. So probably want to do... That's a decorative plant, so I don't really care about it. Go ahead and plant some more down there. Yeah, it looks like we might finally be stabilizing our food. Actually, don't build there. Leave that one alone. We could expand in our directions. And what do you give me again? Plant pulverizer. I've got more of those available. I might just uproot this one, so it's kind of in the way. Oh, duplicate skill points. So we've got Wishbringer here. You're going to gain another level in supplying. Then you got Flux here, and you're going to do field research. Okay. But then with that, I'll be able to expand that one a bit farther. And if I need to, I can expand this one farther too. My other hope is just to keep expanding this and making progress. Where is... Okay, the other one's over here still. I was like, where's your friend? Critter metabolism, right. So we're definitely going to need to... I need to take on a dupe that can do the animal husbandry. That's the reality. Oh, we do have polluted... Oh, right, this makes polluted water, and we have been handling that. Okay. So let's go here. So as refinement, it was the water sieve. We could drop you here. It'll need to get all that set up. So you've got more automation wiring and all that we can't use because I don't have refined metal. Okay, because what we can do here then is we'll have the water sieve going. And it's not going to need to run a lot. It's just whenever we get the polluted water, we can process that into clean water and drop it out here. Because I want to get all of those switched over. But we'll get there. How much can the regular wire handle? So you overload at 1,000 watts. We can actually handle a bit more on there. And Burning Sun's getting all that built. Could take a while to get more of those seeds going. Got the uranium there. How goes the germs, by the way? Alright, so germs are down to about half of what they were. So slowly, as long as we don't introduce new contaminants, that should resolve itself. Okay, we'll get those ones. Then we could probably hold off that for a little while. Because it looks like that'll be able to sustain our food-wise. We don't need to produce a bunch of extra and get rot. Later on, the rot will be fine because we can get the these things, the poke shells, and we can feed them the rot to get, what was it that you gave me? Not the lime, sand. So your renewable source of sand, which will be a filtration medium for a water sieve. And for glass and a bunch of other stuff. Okay. So this pitcher doesn't need to be here anymore. You seem to sure be able to hold your air for a long time. I'm not complaining, I'm just like expecting you to need to go up for air. It's just like you just keep going. Alright, so we got another one of the gum palms. I believe we had a gum palm up here. Yeah, I got a gum palm up there. We got seeds for it too. Yeah, we've got this. You're continuing to produce air, and this is actually starting to get dense with air, which is good. I do think the answer for a lot of this is going to be working on all this stuff. I wonder where else we get those gaskets, because I didn't seem like we could craft them as far as I've been able to spot. So I think they're like reward for stuff. And you want the pearls, but I need improved farming to get those. Unfortunately, that's just not a thing we're going to be able to make happen anytime soon. I'd like to. I could really use the farmer. Okay. Yeah, once we get the sieve, we can start putting the output. I think what we'll also do is go over here for the water storage. Okay. So the plan for this will be, this is the input, and that's the output. So I want to bring this across here, and then this will go up to the toilet setup when we're ready. Oh, probably, nah, we'll leave it alone. I was gonna say, we can probably add a shower over here, too. So yeah, basically it'll be like, this will be the output for the toilets. We can actually do this. This is the output for the toilets and the sinks. And then this is the input for the fresh water. You'll have this process, and it'll drop it all down in here. Keep that all topped off. Alright. But then the plan will get all that hooked up. We can also check, where's the power cable? The power cable's there. We can poke that through this wall, honestly. Yeah, because that shouldn't breach to where water can get through, because we got a wall there already. Because then we can start replacing the toilets and all that one by one to get the plumbed ones. And it'll have the buffer for the polluted water, and then the clean water will just have it drop into the pool down below. And we can just deal with that. Eventually, the clean water will be a problem. We don't have much that's using the clean water. It's mostly the lab. But that will likely change eventually. You know, how's the carbon dioxide? It's still getting not great. Right now I've got the one oxyfern dealing with it, but that's that's just what I've got. We definitely need better than that. How am I doing on time, by the way? Alright, so we got about another hour before we're going to be switching over to spacecraft. And then I do anticipate we'll be playing this for probably the next... It'll either be this or Satisfactory we'll be probably playing for the next couple of days whenever I have time to stream. As I've got my niece and nephew are visiting, so my schedule's going to be a little chaotic for a little bit. Choose a blueprint. Okay. Alright. This will give us our agriculture person that we've needed. So that'll be Sounder Fan. And this does mean I've got the problem of I've got 4 beds and 5 people. So you go ahead and pop up here real fast and go bed, 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 bed. Oh, we can grab you. Plunk you there. Now I want it all. Okay. So we'll start with that. Alright, so get all that going. And with all this, we can go ahead and do that. Where was the... It was furniture was the decorations? Yeah. You can go here. Drywall. Jellyfish. You. Sea turtle. Open water for this. And... there. So it all turned yellow because they can't quite reach until that's built, but that's okay. And is Server Lord going to trap themselves? Never mind. Burning Sun already filled in the gap to make that not a problem. Okay, so one of the next things we're going to need to do is get a water pump here. So we can pump up the water. Let's actually... Okay. Cancel building that. Cancel building that. And we can go over here. We have the automation lines. And we need new research. Alright. Advanced combustion. We won't be worrying about that. I'll go ahead and choose all that. We're just going to keep tech moving. Alright, and the reason I need to do this is we'll go plumbing. Where are you at? The liquid pump. Grab you. Okay, and you will be coming across here. And up. Because that's the freshwater line. So freshwater here goes there. Then we'd have all our stuff here. Bad water comes out there, goes into the buffer, goes into here to be cleaned. Now, curiosity. So, I always got to remember the prioritization. So if we put you down like this, I believe if I put that like that, it'll prioritize the line that is already there. Versus if it was something like that, and I plug the pipe over it, then I believe it'll prioritize the pipe coming in. So let's fix that. So we can go here, snip you two. This will be a little bit of a convoluted mess. Okay. So if I'm not mistaken with the prioritization on that, this will go through and it'll prioritize looping this around over pulling water out of the reservoir. And there's ways you can use like gates and logic and all that sort of stuff to make that far more elegant. But you know, there's no second part to that statement. Alright. So we got plenty of room to expand here. We're getting this all done. Burning Sun. Oh, you're building the thing above it. What are you doing, buddy? You can get to the ladder. There you go. Okay, you were building it, just the animation was glitched. That's fair. Alright, you gained a skill point. There you go. You now got Demolition. And then Sounder Fan is getting your farming for your first one. So you now have improved farming so you can do those clams when we get to them. Or to the source of pearls. They've already got most of the pipes here. So once you get that pump and the wire done there, then we're going to start swapping these for actual toilets. On schedule-wise... Okay, that's good. Alright. Okay, so they don't mind these. So I'm going to go ahead and do, because these tiles aren't that expensive. I already am sure we're going to eventually run out of the, We're going to start running out of the materials these need. Because you're consuming, what was it again? Salt. Well, I currently have 50 tons of salt. So I don't think we need to worry about salt running out for at least a couple of minutes. Oh, also I need to go to priorities. Let's see. So you're now the priority one on that. You deprioritize those. You can't do a bunch of those things. Alright. You gained a skill, so you can get even better at digging. Alright. And we still don't have more algae, which is fine. We don't have more rubber gaskets, which is fine. Alright, so as soon as Burning Sun gets those wires hooked up, that should be able to overload the wires now. Which is a concern. Well, actually, no, you won't be able to overload it. It's just you'll be able to consume power faster than this makes it. Which is a problem. The other thing we probably need to do is go into power and switch from the smaller battery to the jumbo battery. So we'll build that and then we'll tear the other one down. And that'll give me a little bit more of a buffer, since this doesn't run constantly. But I'm honestly pretty okay if the research stuff keeps turning on and off again and again. Okay. Got more research done, which is good. So we finished researching oil refinery and petroleum and natural gas power, which I don't even know if we have that on this map anywhere. We can worry about that when we get there. Okay. And basically I'm just expanding our food production aggressively now. We're gonna have to find something that gives me better food. Alright. Cool. You think you're missing one wallpaper behind the supercomputer? It would appear I am. Oh no. It was one that we accidentally didn't put the design on. Okay. But now I got that, so I'll go ahead and put you right there. Alright, how's the aesthetic stuff looking now? Again, looking pretty good considering there's junk on the ground penalizing it and it's still mostly green. That's a big reason why we're doing a bunch of that, because that'll keep the moods up pretty high. What is going on that you're not hooked up with power still? You should be hooked up. Oh. Right. I did it when I was hooking up the water sieve, now at the pump. So you got one tile there. Okay, meanwhile, deconstruct the first of these toilets. And then we'll go to plumbing, lavatory. Let's see, you just might do a fresh start so you can mine background tiles. Yeah, so I need them to pull up the existing toilet so you can put the nicer toilet in there. And just kind of work through all that. So breathability is still really bad. You're giving me a little bit of air here. There's a little bit of oxalite over here still. There's none over there. Breathability is proving to be a real big pain. Do this. Carve that one tile out. Because that'll expose just a little bit more oxalite. We don't have a good way of getting to that last piece, but one tile's not going to matter. Sometime in 2027, Medieval Dice is supposed to get a free DLC. Gotcha. Is it bad that I saw 2027 and in my brain, my mind is like, oh, so like 100 years in the future? It's like, oh wait, that's next year. Like the number doesn't feel real. Yeah, breathability is still scarce. I really need you all fish to pick that up, man. See, one of those green root plants are hitting the water, so it's not producing oxygen. Not sure if you can uproot those. Green root plants. I mean, we have this thing that we can go into. Like, what I need to do is continue to expand. Like, we're getting a decent amount. Like, these things here, the flue coral, they only give a little bit of oxygen, but it is free. Okay, and you've got that thing, so I don't really care about what's going on there. Yeah, we definitely need more of those, which is going to be the animal husbandry stuff. Which is going to wait on our brand new person here, our farmer, to hit level 2. And then I'm going to try and just, wherever over here or something, make a dedicated... Basically just make a dedicated space for the bloaters. Well, I wonder if I actually need the animal husband... Well... I'll have to check, because I think the grooming station requires them to be in a ranch or whatever. I'm trying to remember if the thing that just lets you do like the basic petting and that kind of stuff does require that. Okay, so you finally got there. Plumbing, lavatory, do this. So this is the polluted water line. So polluted water goes this way, clean water goes that way. Means you'll be the same here. And then once you get that done, that'll be the first there. We got a tiny little spot of polluted water down there. Which will be an issue. Okay, so let's check on the water flow now. We got the clean water coming in. We got a brand new ready to rock and roll toilet. So let's deconstruct this one. Put the next toilet in, do the sink, do that, and just keep ping-ponging back and forth. And we do it that way. It makes this whole process a lot more automatic. Same deal. Clean, dirty, clean, dirty. All right. And copy you. Let's see, how did germs work with this much water? Same as before, where the germs grow out of control? No, the germs actually will slowly resolve themselves. Like right now, because they have the contaminated water in there, it's getting worse. Because of, I think, yeah, I had a bunch of stuff that was in the polluted water. Generally speaking, the water will actually resolve itself over time. If you just chuck, yep, so we got the royal flush, we've replaced all our toilets and all that. One of the things you can do is if you just drop like a little bit of radioactive material in there, it will slowly murder all the germs in there. Germs aren't that hard to deal with. There's a bunch of different solutions for them. So if we go to stations, I'm wondering what we have to do for those fish to make them count for stuff. Fried mushrooms. Have yourself a snack. Okay. And they're decontaminating everything. We can go ahead and deconstruct the smaller battery. It's not needed. You know what, play this with the learning curve is insane. It's not as bad as you'd think. There's a lot there, certainly. But a lot of it is just, you know, going and this and saying, like, you input salt and then you output food. So, like, you got all of this here, but the only thing you care about in that thing is salt goes in, food comes out. And almost everything works in that manner of one thing in, one thing out. Sometimes a little bit more than that. But then it's just a matter of going, I need more X. Well, what gives me X? What causes Y? Well, what do I do to deal with Y? So it's just inputs and outputs. It's not raw. Have it... Ah, yes. Yes, I ate a not raw meal that was given to me for free. Should definitely get credit for that. Did they do random research mod here too? Sorry I was late. I am not aware of there being a random research mod. I wouldn't mind a random research mod. Because genuinely, you get through the research in this game relatively quickly. So it's not a thing where I feel like a huge pressure being like, oh man, did I choose the right research? There's definitely ones that can hurt you early on if you don't get the research in a timely manner. Okay, so we've got all this. We're slowly expanding that. And like I said, my hope here is that we can increase the population of these fish. Yeah, so you laid your first egg. but you're near death. At least I believe you. Yeah, you both laid your first eggs, but you're near death. What I gotta remember is when you are dealing with the animal, like the aquatic animals, how that works so far as a pen goes. So let's check your rooms. For this to count as a stable, it must have a ranch building in it and be under 96 tiles in size. That should be doable, because we put a tile there. We could deconstruct that and make that a door, and just hold it open. And it will see how big that makes this space. Okay, so we finished the things for making polymer and all that later. Let's get the stuff for the heavier power lines, because that'll be a thing we need. Then lock that open to save time. Okay, so you are 147 tiles, so I need to make the room smaller. That's entirely reasonable. And quite a bit smaller, actually, now I think about it. So one way I could do this is I don't think I need this pitcher plant any... Well, I mean, that you require water, don't you? Or was it you that required water? Okay. So what I'm thinking is I can cut off this section, and I'll take a chunk out of the room. But that requires me getting this pitcher out of the way. And I could potentially do the same over here, is cut a chunk off of this. You know, that's actually how I could do this. That's how I could do this. We can go over here and cut across there. Now, see, for right now, I'll put this here. Yeah, it's this. This is the one I'm, struggling with how I want to deal with this, because I can't wall this off to make that into a separate area with that there, and there's not really a good place to put it. Let's deconstruct that for a minute. Because I'm not super worried about the research situation for the time being. And we're going to want to go into here to stations. That's a farming, not the grooming station. Is that one? Allows a rancher to care and gradually tame critters. So I can put you up there. And then with this, put you here. And a door there. And that gives me room for more processing stuff. And now cut off like a good 30-something tiles off of this area. And then we can go to this side. And put a door here. And that cuts off another like 20 tiles. And that should make it... It's a little bit of a cursed space. What I am curious though is like... Can you work submerged? I don't remember the aquatic creatures with this taming thing, how that even works. It's been a long time since I've kept like Paku or whatever. Because usually you just have like a hole with Paku in them and you're like, yeah, you just do your thing, Paku, it's fine. I'll lock you open. And honestly, deconstruct that. I'm going to push that tile down one. So that way they don't have to climb up and go down anymore. The airflow will be a little better. Okay. Let's see, taming Paku requires feeding them, not grooming them. But you haven't played this DLC, so you don't know if it's different here. But yeah, so it said for this to count as a ranch, it had to have the appropriate thing. So let's see what this says when this is closed. Okay. So this is now considered a ranch here. And then we're going to need, for food, the critter feeder. Yeah, Sounder Fan is the only one without the swim skill. I'm probably going to have to go out of my way to give it to them. Oh, you also require that? So this is where we run into the problem where I need the ability to get the water. So first of all, get rid of this. No, actually, that can stay. Oh, don't do that. That's my problem. Just regular water. So I need a way of getting the fresh water out where we need it. Oh, so you can't be there. Because you're considered underwater and all that. Well, that makes it curious. So how do I feed them if the feeder can't be underwater? Oh, there's a water feeder? Yeah, no, it's been a hot minute since I've done this. Yeah, fish feeder, that's right. Okay. Because I don't think the, here's what we could do. We could deconstruct these two tiles. And go to plumbing. Is it 2 or 3 tiles? I can put the pitcher thing over here. We'll lock that door open as well. Okay, so... there you go. And Jill will be a 7. Yeah, because then we can put that over there. And I can put the things here that make it so it's not a pass-through wall. Meanwhile, let's check on you. So you can be 96. So you're right now a room size 56. So we can actually make this room larger if needed. Which what we could do for that is, if I do decide to make the room bigger, I could just knock out some of these tiles in spots that, you know, I could just like make the ladder and like expand another little pool deeper or whatever. We can worry about that in a moment. We'll go ahead and grab this. Okay. So your tameness, your wildness is maxed out. But we'll get there. Okay. Wonder why you're not working on that. There you go. Burning Sun's on it. Okay, so we can go plumbing. There you are. So you're no longer considered a stable. The room's too big. So I'm curious if the pitcher plant... I don't think the pitcher plant considers it as a room separation. It does not. So go down here. And I want that fish to be not there. Get over here, fish. Go. Yeah, that works. Okay. Actually, that was weird. So... Well, first of all, the egg ended up over there. It seemed like when I put the one block here, that it didn't have the warning here that this wasn't a stable. So I'm curious if, like, this was at 97 tiles, and then when that one spot went in there, it dropped it down to 96. Because I'm okay if that's the case. Alright. 96 tiles. Okay. Maximum size ranch by just happenstance. Alright, so research here. You're still working on your power, that's okay. Okay, so we've got all that sorted. And that's good, because like I said, the egg dropped over there. So I've got all these growing. It's going to take us a little while to get all of this sorted. But we'll eventually get to the point... Oh yeah, that food poisoning is just skyrocketing. Like, it's coming down, it's just... We got a lot of contaminated stuff dropped in here. Oh yeah, you know what it is? We're using the water sieve. Well, actually, the water sieve, if I remember correctly... Yeah, I've got this set up to feed back in here to be a closed loop as much as possible. We could just inject more as we need. We've got the liquid reservoir here for the polluted water. That's, it's not right. Okay, so you need to go like this. And then we can cut you and you. And while it shouldn't be the angle I'm doing this, you need to be like that. There we go. Alright, so now what should happen is it should go in this cycle, mostly. And then, as, like, water actually starts being removed from our stuff, then it can pull in from down here as needed. So this should be off 99.9% of the time. So we're waiting for those to keep going. We got all that going. Got our research got done. The auction is holding up. Idleness. One or more duplicates are idle. I see. We don't want that. Idleness is terrible. Okay, well now... Well, actually, this is part of the ranch now. So if we want to get deeper from here, let's go ahead and start carving a path down this way to explore down below us. That'd be a good way to eat up a bunch of time. Okay. So you can let them start doing that. You know, get to rummage all that, that's fine. So basically I'm just gonna hop down here and snag whatever value we can find down here. Okay, new printables. Pearl, 300 kilograms, done. Hey man, you remember how you said you wanted those pearls of 200 kilograms? I can make that happen now. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're just gonna cut straight across here. Then we'll drop down by one. And I can cut across there. That way it's like a natural airlock. And now let me get you your pearls. And this will let some of the carbon dioxide when it starts going up here sink down here, so we can make a bigger carbon dioxide sink, since they don't really have a good way of dealing with carbon dioxide right now. Alright. So you got this going, helping a little bit, but it's just a little bit. Oh, you know what? That's probably what I need to be working. Well, the problem is I don't have a good source of clean water. I'm gonna have to do desalination, I think, for the clean water. Or sorry, to get more clean water. And then we can use that to do the carbon dioxide scrubbing. Yeah, so we don't have that. We could check on our research. See, right now you're working on this, which is for our power cables. So when that's done, we should get our carbon scrubber, because I'm not seeing many ways to get rid of carbon dioxide. The other thing we should probably check is, have we expanded to seeing new areas? A little bit down there. Plenty on the right, some on the top over here. Okay. Another giant clam. Bunch of a cold abyssalite up here. Really cold rock up top. Not sure if they can reach down there to deal with that. Alright. So getting pretty close to the point where we're going to start being able to harvest these. And that'll help. And hopefully that'll start resolving the air problems. Now we're going to get our unknown duplicate nonsense, which is, I think, the new story for this map. So one thing that could be done, we can put a door here. And cut straight across. We can deal with that later. Alright. Where... Oh, I did not plan that out well. That is a mess is what that is. Recruit survivor pearls. Success. My duplicants have harvested 200 kilograms of pearls and offered them to a potential future crewmate. We now have 1 new gasket and 2 flue coral to use as needed. My duplicant found a survivor exploring the kelp forest biome. She appears to be hungry. In exchange for 36,000 kilogram of sushi, she'll give us a gasket and gum palm seeds. Okay. Well, the good news about that is that does mean I can now hook up another one of these. The hook up here. It's going to take a little bit of work. How's the air pressure? Not great. It's pretty bad. So yeah, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set up the same enclosure on this one. And then I'm just going to put a thing up top here to drop salt water in there. And we can just go with that. Actually, don't remove that wall, because I'll keep it from backflowing over there. Get that built to at least stop dropping more salt water in here, because eventually that'll be a problem. Okay. Alright, so let's go see about the scrubber, because I'm willing to bet that's accessible now. That'll be where? Around here somewhere. Because we're looking for the oxygen scrubber, so there's ventilation, or carbon scrubber, there you are. Because then I can see you using the carbon scrubber down here. Okay, so you've got all that. We're trying to get down here. I think the reality is what I'm going to have to do that, let them yoink it back up, and then we'll get rid of that and clean it up. We got a bunch of the higher power cable and all that. Which will end up needing to worry about that to deal with that. I remember like one of the big strategies in the game was to like have like a really dense cable going down along the ladder that can hold the high power, and then having like a transformer that drops it down to move it around and all that. And then the idea is you'd have it along the outsides where it's not visible from your ladder kind of thing. That's a plastic gasket. Oh. Oh, you can make these on the crafting station. Well, I didn't make that before. Let's go ahead and get the crafting station built, because I've been not working on it. I don't really have a good spot for it. Because pretty soon we're gonna have problems where the wires won't be able to handle the amount of power we're producing. And it's going to be very, very soon. And I'm going to have to figure out how I either want to split up the power network or how I want to deal with that. Which it very well could be this one powers all this down here and this one powers this up here kind of thing. We can worry about that when we get there. Alright. So, mine those out, give it a little better airflow. Lock you open. There's no reason for those to be closed. Please don't suffocate for literally no reason. The air's not... It's bad, because we got all this up here, and then we got low density here, and that's the reason I wanted to go after the carbon scrubber. Which that's actually what we'll probably do, is I'll probably put the carbon scrubber down here. What we'll do is we'll check for like carbon dioxide maybe up here or something like that. And then if there's carbon dioxide up here, just run it. Or if the air pressure's over a certain amount. But yeah, no, the problem is the air pressure. Hey, they're starting to slowly lose their wildness. Suffocating why? Disable the auto harvest. Love everything. Close that. I think you're trying to get that gasket, and it's just so far out there, you're not making it. Oh, you gained our level. Applied science research. I think we need to get the, make sure everyone gets the swimming skill, because for some of these ones, when they get down here and they move slow, it's really rough. Okay, so you have really high wildness. Okay, so for this one, you've got that set to a thing. You've got that set to 200 kilograms, which is a ton. Let's set to like 10 kilograms. Where's Burning Sun at? Oh, you're asleep. That's fair. I was like, why hasn't that been built this whole time as that continues to drain? I mean, at this point, there's no point. Not really. Alright, so we're going to eventually have problems when salt water starts going through here. I'm choosing to ignore the problem. I'll regret it later, but you know. Yeah, so we don't have anything here we want right now. That's fine. Okay, and build that ladder there. They're digging down here. Alright, so what's going to be happening here in just a couple minutes? I was just checking to see if that's anything important. Alright, in just a couple minutes we're going to be switching over to spacecraft. I will definitely be doing more oxygen not included in the future, because I would anticipate that what we'll most likely end up doing is we'll most likely end up playing this DLC until we get like solidly into at least the mid-game. It's somewhere around the mid-game that the game starts to really slow down and it can be a bit hard to stream. But until then, like, I think it's worth playing through. Alright, let's go ahead before I forget. I want the carbon scrubber right there. And we can go here and do pump. Oh, do you do clean water in, dirty water out? Was that right? Yeah. Okay. This is a clean water pipe. They're going to cut across here and in. And then dirty water pipe. Out. And then that'll give us a way of removing the carbon dioxide. But it's also going to consume a decent amount of water, if I remember correctly. What was the input-output on this thing again? It was 1,000 water in. Oh no, there's not... Yeah, there's no loss of water on that one. That's fine. You're having to just blast your way down here. We're trying to see what type of renewable resources we can get here so far as, like... So we got another tidal spring. It's honestly interesting with all these tidal springs that I would potentially be separating out my power network into just a bunch of different things. Oh, there we go. We got multiple flue corals down there. So we just blast a tunnel straight on down. It'll be that much more oxygen slowly trickling up to the rest of the place. Which will create a weird situation there in regards to the air oxygen coming up with the carbon dioxide coming down. I think they'll just start blocking each other off, but that's fine. Rip all those goods. Okay. Honestly, probably don't queue those up. We're getting far enough away. Okay. So we've got our first one that's fully underground. So trick to see what's there. You can click on that. And it is a leaky oil fissure. So we got a leaky oil fissure down there that'll get oil for us. You've got a very cold biome over here. Oh right, you can swim. I'm just instinctively thinking, Wishbringer, could you go up for air, man? You're stressing me out, man. You don't have to push yourself quite to this limit. There you go. Yeah, so we've got oxygen down there. New printables available. Sure, I have another stack of pearls. I really need you to continue to, build up. Alright, though, chat. It is getting to be about the time that we're about to hit an ad break, and then we're going to be switching over to the sponsored segment for the stream. For those who have been enjoying this game and all that, I do think we'll probably do more of this in the immediate future, because I am liking this one. I'm hoping we can recover. We're kind of in a bad way of, like, juggling the air and all that. This DLC, the air has been far harder to deal with, because we don't have algae on any meaningful supply that we've been able to find. So I can't just use, like, the algae terrarium or whatever. We could make oxygen using the water for the fresh water, but I'm very limited in supply. It's salt water all around. And we haven't set up desalination, which might be what we need to do. But we do have, like, the coral over here produces little bits of air, or sorry, oxygen, and then those fish that get oxygen. I've been leaning towards, oh, those fish, when they do breathe out, they breathe out something like 15 kilograms of gaseous oxygen. So it's like, okay, that's a decent amount. If I can get a good handful of those, they should be able to produce a lot of oxygen. And then, you know, if the air pressure starts to get too high, we eat a couple of them. If the air pressure gets too low, we breed more of them. And that's my thought process there, but we haven't been able to stabilize that. Alright, but what's going to happen is we're going to go ahead, and I just saved. We're going to close this off. We're going to save and quit that. For those watching on YouTube, I actually do have it set up to jump to the next thing now. So I am going to take down the stream on the YouTube side. It'll kick you over to the next one, and we'll be starting back over on the spacecraft side, so we'll see you in a couple of minutes. So that's that. And then we dismiss this, and we hop over to the next one.